Do you recall playing with sandcastles when you were a kid? It was quite amusing to pile sand on top of each other until they all crashed to the ground, wasn't it? Negative thinking cycles are just like that. They can have a similar crashing down effect on your life and career, and the results of that are much less funny. Many people are vaguely aware of the dangers of negative thinking, but just do not know how to get rid of always thinking like a pessimist. In this video, we'll discuss everything you need to know about negative thinking, and by the time you've completely watched this video, you would have learned how to deal with it and get rid of it. Now let's get into it. To start with, let us emphasize that the dangers of negative thinking cannot be overestimated. Negative thinking impairs the brain's ability to deal with complex tasks, making it difficult to process information and think coherently. As if that weren't enough, negative stress has a physical impact on the body, leading to sickness and emotional dysfunction. Also, negative thinking can contribute to problems such as social anxiety, depression, stress, and low self-esteem. The key to changing your negative thoughts is to understand how you think now, and then use simple, actionable steps to change these thoughts or make them have less of an impact. According to Rachel Goldman, a psychologist and clinical assistant professor at the NYU School of Medicine, our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are all linked, so our thoughts impact how we feel and act. So, although we all have unhelpful thoughts from time to time, it's important to know what to do when they appear so we don't let them change the course of our day. Here are some actionable steps to take whenever negative thoughts start creeping into your consciousness. Number 6. Practice mindfulness and self-awareness. The first actionable step on our list is mindfulness, which has its origins in meditation. It is the act of separating oneself from your ideas and emotions and observing them objectively. Mindfulness training can help you become more aware of your thoughts and develop more self-awareness. The goal of mindfulness is to alter your connection with your thoughts. Consider your thoughts and feelings as moving things that you can either stop and examine or let pass you by. Allowing the reasoning half of your brain to take control of your emotional reactions to situations is the objective of mindfulness. It's been suggested that practicing mindfulness can help people use their ideas more adaptively. According to one study, persons who practiced mindfulness have fewer negative thoughts after being exposed to negative imagery, implying that mindfulness can reduce the harmful effects of negative thinking. Before we continue, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to get notified whenever a new video is uploaded. Number 5. Identify your negative thoughts. Work on identifying and categorizing cognitive distortions and negativity as you monitor your thoughts. If you conceive of yourself as a total success or failure in every scenario, for example, you're thinking in black and white terms. The following are some examples of negative thought patterns: making assumptions about what others are thinking or negative assumptions about how events will unfold. This distortion entails making assumptions about what others are thinking or making negative assumptions about how events will unfold. Catastrophizing. The negative thought pattern is defined by expecting the worst-case scenario will occur without considering more likely and realistic alternatives. Overgeneralization. This pattern is characterized by a propensity to extrapolate what occurred in one event to all subsequent ones. Negative experiences may become unavoidable as a result, contributing to worry. Labeling. When people negatively label themselves, it impacts how they feel about themselves in many situations. Someone who considers themselves poor at arithmetic, for example, is likely to dislike activities that require that talent. Should statements. Thinking highlighted by should statements contribute to a pessimistic outlook by focusing solely on what you ought to be doing. Such remarks are frequently unrealistic, leading to feelings of loss and pessimism about one's potential to succeed. Emotional reasoning. It entails presuming the truth of something based on your emotional reaction to it. If you're frightened, for example, emotional reasoning could cause you to believe that you're in danger. This can amplify unpleasant emotions and heighten anxiety. Personalization and blame. This mental tendency entails taking things personally even when they aren't. It frequently leads to people blaming themselves for matters over which they have no control. Unhelpful thinking patterns differ in subtle ways, but they all involve distortions of reality and irrational ways of looking at situations and people. This step, according to Goldman, is all about identifying and categorizing negative ideas. Now that you've noticed the thought, you can recognize it as harmful thinking, perhaps as an all-or-nothing thought or another form of cognitive distortion. Just keep an eye on it and make a note of it. She also recommends taking a moment to acknowledge the notion for what it is. Keep in mind that it's simply an idea, not a fact. Number 4, replace negative thoughts. Cognitive restructuring is an important aspect of a cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, treatment strategy. This method aids in the identification and transformation of negative ideas into more helpful and adaptive reactions. Cognitive restructuring is a step-by-step process in which negative thoughts are detected, examined for correctness, and then replaced, whether in therapy or on your own. Goldman recommends looking into the evidence that either supports or refutes the idea. This can assist you in challenging negative thinking and exploring more useful and realistic options. Although it may be challenging at first to think in this new way, positive and rational thoughts will become more natural with time and practice. Cognitive restructuring can assist you in challenging your beliefs by guiding you through the following steps. Checking to see if the thought is plausible. Consider what has happened in similar situations in the past and see if your beliefs are consistent with what happened. Actively question the idea and seek alternative explanations. Consider what you'd gain versus what you'd lose if you kept believing the concept. Recognize whether your thoughts are the product of a cognitive distortion, like catastrophizing. Consider what you'd tell a friend having the same thought. Johns Hopkins Medicine suggests focusing on the positive to help combat the negative thought patterns associated with depression. Ask yourself, is there any good to come out of your current situation? However, Goldman recommends not replacing negative thoughts with overly positive ones. If the replacement thoughts are not realistic, they won't be helpful. Goldman suggests that if you find yourself thinking thoughts like, "I am a failure," "I am going to fail," you shouldn't replace it with something like, "I know I'm going to succeed." You instead would want to replace it with something more neutral, which is also showing some self-compassion like, "I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I am trying my best," she suggests. One study found that a single cognitive restructuring intervention helped people reduce negative thoughts and biases that play a role in contributing to anxiety. Number 3, avoid thought stopping. Thought stopping is the polar opposite of mindfulness. It's the act of constantly scanning for negative ideas and demanding that they be banished. The trouble with thought stopping is that the more you try to stop your bad ideas from coming up, the more they will come up. Thought rebounding is the term for this phenomenon. Mindfulness is preferred since it gives your ideas less weight and lessens their influence on you. According to experts, the thought bouncing that occurs after attempting to halt unpleasant ideas is far more harmful. Rather, psychologists often advise finding strategies to confront negative beliefs head-on. Number 2, practice coping with criticism. Another part of CBT that is occasionally useful for people with social anxiety, in addition to cognitive restructuring, is something called assertive defense of the self. Because it is conceivable that people will be critical and judgmental of you at times, you must be able to cope with rejection and criticism. This procedure is frequently carried out in therapy with a fictitious conversation between you and your therapist to improve your assertions and assertive reactions to criticism. Through homework assignments, these skills are subsequently translated to the actual world. If you are confronted with criticism in real life, for example, Having a set of aggressive responses prepared will assist you in dealing with these potentially anxiety-inducing circumstances. Furthermore, real-life encounters are welcomed as opportunities to put this exercise into reality using this manner. According to some studies, confronting possible social mistakes that contribute to anxiety and negative thinking can be beneficial. The purpose of increasing your tolerance for the anguish that criticism and rejection might cause is to resist your instinctive negative thinking. Number 1. Start journaling. Thought journals can be incorporated into any strategy for overcoming negative thinking. Thought journals can help you recognize negative thinking patterns and require a better understanding of how your ideas, rather than the surroundings you're in, influence your emotional responses. The usage of a thought journal is part of most CBT treatment regimens as part of frequent assignments. A thought journal post, for example, may break down a person's thought process while on a date, as well as the emotional and physical reactions that follow from unfavorable thinking patterns. By the end of the thought analysis, you can replace irrational thoughts about rejection with more helpful and positive ways of thinking. Check out our 5-minute daily journaling methods video on our channel to learn more about this. Bottom line, internal responses to each of our life events are encoded in neural pathways and have an impact on our future behavior. If we do not engage in reprogramming attempts, unhealthy responses might become dominant and overtake our actions and emotions. You don't need a professional to assist you via visualization, which is one of the more potent reprogramming strategies. When you're engaged in a negative thought cycle, intentionally switch your thoughts to more positive options. Rather than letting your what-if mindset descend, create and visualize more positive what-ifs. What if this concept proves to be successful? What if they like my suggestion? What if I achieve happiness and success? Picture and feel this outcome instead of something much less desirable. For those of us who aren't superhuman, reprogramming your brain in a day, week, or even month is unlikely. It's normal for some negativity to linger for a while. What matters is you keep trying to reroute and reprogram. You will notice the effects over time if you continue with it. Hey, you've made it to the end of this video. So what do you think? Will you be implementing these tips to overcome negative thinking in your journey of self-improvement? We sure hope so. Let us know in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Oh, and turn on post notifications. Now, if you'll excuse me, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.